Nakwe, Talofa, and good morning to you people of the internet. Welcome to Right in the Childhood. This is the show where I examine a children's TV show or movie. It can be a classic one, or one that's relatively new.
One of the many things you can find many reviewing YouTubers nowadays doing is taking lists of video games, movies, or TV shows that they either really like or they really hate, but it seems everyone else they know has the opposite view. I'm no exception. And there's also another category I think that needs to exist. Shows that look like they should be universally panned, but you can't find anything but praise from friends, from critics, from anybody. And you just can't understand. I mean, how can you like this? I mean, why people? Why? How is it possible? How is it possible for anybody on this planet to like H2O, just add water?
It's a terrible show, and I know it's directed at a different demographic, but seriously, it is so freaking bad, even for kids. This will probably be the only review like mine you'll see in the sea of reviews that are mostly done by kids who love it, or inspiring them to do their own stupid knockoffs on YouTube. So strap in and enjoy the ride to discover why I harbour such a strong hatred for this kangaroo manure. Let's dive right in. H2O follows a trio of Australian girls. Emma, played by Mean Girls 2's Claire Holt, Cleo, played by Phoebe Tonkin of the original's fame, and Ricky, played by Kariba Hine. All of them whom seem to be trying but failing to portray their characters. Honestly, it's so bad. It's like watching a primary school play that only had a week to prepare. Emma isn't too bad, but Cleo and Ricky are just plain bland here, people. And Phoebe Tonkin got cast in the originals. How? I mean, honestly, she can't even pull off an American accent. Okay, back on track. Girls all end up on a boat to the CGI paradise known as Mako Island, a mysterious island off the Gold Coast. Wait, a mysterious island off the coast of one of the biggest holiday destinations in the world? Seriously? No one ever thought to explore it? As they explore the island, they happen upon a moon pool in the island's volcano. As they enter the pool, an unconvincing special effect occurs as the moon passes over. They swim out and are found by a conveniently nearby harbour patrol boat. The next day, the three discover in different circumstances they have gained the power to become mermaids whenever they touch water, and also have magical abilities with water. The rest of the season revolves around the three girls trying to go about their lives while coping with their powers. Maybe I'm being a little unfair here. At first glance, the premise is not very original, and has been taken on by other children's media from movies to books. But most of them have managed to pull it off really well, making this cliché premise seem more original. H2O's story does offer an opportunity to repeat this, but despite promising story arcs for each of its three series, the execution, in my view, is very poor. Among the episodes are a revelation to their school nerd Lewis, played by Angus McLaren, who is the one good actor on the show. You could say he's the Ewan McGregor of H2O. Discovering their powers become enhanced when they touch water during a full moon, as well as going into what I call an aerial state, sort of like a mermaid drug. And then finally coming across a mad scientist who wants to use them for experimentation. I do have a problem with the villain though. While she is established before the finale, the writers didn't take the time to build up the threat she could pose to the trio, and so the payout is such a letdown for a final episode. Also, there is another part of the show that gets on my nerves, and that is repetitive and expected twists in the story. It's kind of like Glee. When a power couple breaks up, you can always presume they'll get back together at some point. And no offense, Gleeks, but it is really lame. The first example of this is in the final episode, after the trio have finally given up their powers forever, ruining the scientist's plot. Ricky visits the beach, and as she's feeling the sea between her feet, before you know it, whoosh, she assumes her mermaid form, with Lewis later revealing he was told the powers would be given up for 24 hours. I was extremely angry, not just at the stupid twist, but the fact that we're going to continue the show. The second arc starts with their powers getting an upgrade on the night of a full moon, again a a pathetic display of CGI is displayed here. But this time, there's another major arc revolving around a new villain, Charlotte, played by Brittany Burns. It involves a love triangle with Lewis, Charlotte, and Cleo, as well as another motivation that comes into play later. Now, the love triangle is a brilliant idea to show character rivalry and further develop the new character, and whilst the characters do make up for the rushed development of the scientists in the first season, it never truly capitalized on the triangle, not properly establishing it until much later in the season. Later, it is revealed that Charlotte's grandmother was a mermaid who had lost her powers after meeting an old friend of hers who was sort of like the Lewis to an original trio of mermaids, including the current trio's mentor, Miss Chatham. This leads her to gain powers at the moon pool and further cause trouble for the girls. After the girls proclaim they have had enough, they use the planetary alignment at the moon pool to remove Charlotte's powers forever. Lewis also breaks up with her and returns to Cleo. But it's kind of expected again. I mean, do you really think a series regular would keep up a relationship with a bad guy who will probably only be in one season? And then there's the third season, which saw the departure of Emma. Guess she finally realized being on the show was doing her no favors. She was replaced by Bella, played by Indiana Evans, who became a mermaid in an Irish moon pool at the age of 7. She joins them just as the moon pool starts using water to attack the trio for some wild reason. Halfway through, Angus McLaren leaves to do Pack to the Rafters, another Aussie show which was pretty good, and was replaced by a love interest for Bella named Will. As later discovered, the moon pool has crystals which are apparently very valuable, and this gives Will's free diving coach an opportunity for a quick buck. What they don't know is that the meteor is headed straight for Earth, and that the crystals are needed to keep it at bay. Lucky the girls are able to save the day, and thankfully, that's the end of the show. The third season was probably the worst in my opinion, as it lacked a proper antagonist, and the story just plain sucked. And again, little was left to the imagination story-wise. Overall, the story was pretty bad. It offered a lot of promise but failed to deliver, especially in the case of the third series. The closest they got to a good season was season 2, and even then, it was so lame. It does, however, try not to follow a single formula for every episode, and does try and put the trio into some very unusual situations. For example, faking illness to prevent their secret being revealed, given a potion to grant wishes, amongst other things. However, the rain thing just doesn't seem right. If you were in that situation and got sick every time it rained, wouldn't you get the tiniest bit suspicious? I mean, yeah, this is a kid's show, but even someone on that show would be able to put two and two together. I mean, don't make me say it, H2O. Don't make me say it. Ugh. It happened in Twilight. Yes, you have forced me to compliment Twilight. The movie didn't pretend the Cullen family would protect their secret full stop, and it was sure someone was able to realize their true species. It's a little sad when the secret trope has big holes like this. One drop of the water reveals their identity. Well, how on earth do they manage to keep it secret so well? Surely there's something involving water in public that would get you wet. Drinking from a water fountain, washing your hands, washing off makeup. The secret cliche isn't bad in itself, but in this series it is heavily flawed. There's been no more episodes of the main show, thank heavens, but sadly the show's legacy goes on. There's the aforementioned fan versions that saturate YouTube's darkest reaches, and there's a live-action spin-off called Mako Mermaids. A spin-off! A freaking spin-off! How could they make a spin-off? Then again, they are Aussies. Here's how I think it would have gone down if it had been done in New Zealand.
Alright, ladies and gents, let's get brainstorming for some new kids show ideas. Ratings are down. We need to make sure that we don't have a generation worshipping those stupid idiots at Geordie Shore. Any ideas?
Oh, I got an idea for you, boss. Why don't we create a show about 3 girls who become mermaids, which is essentially a gigantic middle finger to the Little Mermaid and all the mythology that makes them so awesome.
Any good ideas?
I've even been told by friends who enjoy H2O that they hate Mako. And it got 2 more seasons. How? I mean, honestly, if even your original fanbase thinks it's bad, What makes you think it's a good idea to continue a show? There's the animated spin-off. H2O Mermaid Adventures, an anime-style show with an American voice cast, a new fictional setting, and a talking hermit crab. Yes, a freaking talking hermit crab. Please remind me to kill whoever created the show. I just hope now you can see why I think H2O is bad. I do need to give it credit and say it does try to be good in some parts, but it just falls flat on its face. The acting is bad, the story is cliché, and the special effects are cringeworthy at best. This show gets a 4 out of 10.
Well, I hope you enjoyed that H2O torture, and great news if you enjoyed that, it's not over! My wonderful best friend Maggie has dared me to watch H2O Mermaid Adventures. And being the loyal friend that I am, I have to follow through. So you'll be able to tune in and watch me torture myself. Oh, and Maggie, if by any chance you're watching this, I'm already masterminding my payback. Well, that's another childhood ruined. So, until the next video, goodbye, hiatus.